This is Two Shy Guys a Mile High. Cue the damn music.
So
yeah, and I think one of the things that we also wanted to go over was the article that we sent you guys, and how it kind of talks about, diversity in unity. I mean, just speaking from, the three of you have completely unique experiences, but are from the same place, right? Evidently. And how back in, in the motherland is we're all from the same place. We try to be as united as possible, but there's still so much diversity, right? What do you think are some of like the themes that drew you guys to each other? When Phil, when you met Al, when Al, you met Will, and however it might be, what would you say was like a few things that you noticed and you were like, yo, I'm trying to rock with this guy?
Man, I'm gonna keep it G.
Mm-hmm.
So I met both of these cats from hooping, and that was just the start of it. So he ain't gonna like this, but I was busting his ass on the court.
Yeah.
But no, he was, cause he a shooter. So we was going down. I'm giving him a bucket on one end of the court. He'd come down, he'd make a shot, and I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see what you're doing, but I'm talking shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I can be losing, I'm gonna talk shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm a sore loser. I hate to lose. That's just me. But he was talking trash. I was talking trash. But at the end of the game, I won.
Okay.
But, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the game, my team won. But it was all good. Once the game was over, it's like, hey, what's up, man? Where you from? That was my first question. Just, my name Phil. Where you from, bro? And he said Chicago.
Yeah.
Bang. Right from that point.
Yep.
That's all you had to say, right?
Right from that point.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it took me moving out here to understand that, because it's like, as you go from different places, it's always good to be to put yourself around somebody that knows kind of like the struggle or knows what you've been through. And coming from Chicago, if he's from there, we ask each other a couple questions: where you go to high school, what school you went to, what area you from in Chicago. It's a big city, but he told me from the South Side, Brother Rice. I got family members that went to Brother Rice, and it was just already like a connection between that. And then WB. They were already cool, and they'll tell you about how they got together, but me and him were just, we knew each other from the court as well. They played on the same team, and then they were nice enough to invite me out because I was still new around the place. They were saying, hey, we got a flag football team that we also play on.
Right.
Why don't you come through, show us your skills, And then we went out there, and then we just kicked it off like that. So it was just all about that, coming together piece and that, black professional piece. We knew we were all from the same organization. We were all trying to make a change out here. We were all trying to do something positive in our life. He had a family going on already. He was just, I know he was lived in an area that was close to us. So like the proximity was in a good, it was within a good arena. Everything was right around each other. So we were getting into that, and then I had the pleasure of working on the same team with Will for a couple years. Yeah. And like when we got to that team, it was all black professionals on that team, and we was kicking ass, man. We was producing results. There was at least five black people on the same team within Bowen, which you don't see that often.
We're the Tuskegee Airmen.
That's what I was about to say. What you guys
on the PA program.
PA program. We was making things happen, but then they slowly but surely started.
People
like,
start noticing.
It was like, hold on,
around the deck the wrong way. Misdeal.
Right.
So
A little too productive.
Exactly. We was getting too many results. So Will was able to teach me some things as him being a more seasoned industrial engineer within the group. He taught me some things before going on to his other ventures that he did. So we just kept that camaraderie between the three of us. We still live in close proximity to each other, but just all kind of on the same wavelength. I know he pledged a Greek fraternity, and I pledged a different one, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Yo, baby, loose.
So we already had kind of like, as you get older within being Greek and being professional, it's just good to see other Greeks in roles like this, and it doesn't matter what Greek at that point. When you're in college, it's all a feud, it's all a battle,
Yeah.
as it's supposed to be. It still is, you know what I'm saying? It still is. We might throw slight jabs at each other, but just knowing that he went through whatever he went through to pledge, because, you know, it all goes around the same core principles, like we want to have brotherhood, scholarship, service. That's what we stand by. So we do community service around the area. We uplift different generations, and then just seeing that coming from Chicago to a place that's not as doesn't have as many black people when you first move out here. It's not, you don't see it as often as if you're in Illinois. You can see it right away depending on what area you're in. So being in Seattle, we were able to talk about different community service things that we went through. I know you're always out there as a representative of the fraternity doing things like the buying stuff for the kids. And I've always been a person for teaching the next generation. I did all types of mentorships back at home, and I was doing that as well. So he gave me some avenues to reach out to for people that's also doing like-minded things. So it was just, it was almost like big brothers to me when I met them. Al, WB, they were just able to take me under the wing and just show me around and just keep me grounded and let me know that, you know, professionals out here, black men out here doing their thing, staying on the right mindset, having the right path. And you always got to have people within your circle that's doing positive things, so it gives you things to look up to and look forward to. So just seeing that them, and they talk about how they met each other as well.
I met Al through playing poker. I was playing a lot of poker. Maybe I haven't really talked about it that much in podcasts. We haven't talked about poker in general, period.
Right, for real.
I was playing online poker, but when it was legal online, when I first got out here, that's like, what is that, 2007-ish?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was playing on Poker Stars. I was playing multi-table tournaments, 45-man, 90-man, sit and goes, playing between 10 to 12 tables, depending, on Poker Stars. So I would just come home off of work. I didn't know that many people, so I just start fueling my energy into that. That was my hustle. So just playing poker, trying to at least get like 1,000 games in a month, playing after work. And then eventually I got the invitation to go to a party. So I went out there, I'm cool, and I see them playing poker. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait. So we're playing poker, playing cards, and Al was there. And I think I did very well. I'm not gonna say if I took his money or not, but I was just playing well, and we just had just different conversations. Kind of went from there. I gave him a poker book, and he read that, and he just kind of took it to the next level. Before he was calling me the professor, and then now he's kind of the professor now. You know what I'm saying? We haven't played a little bit, but it was always him pushing me mentally to change my game up and to think about the game differently. Not as robotic as just making those standard plays or whatever you just do because you're in certain mathematical situations that you know you need to do a positive EV move, whether it be just going all in or checking or raising. So from there, that's how we kicked out, and we just got a friendship going from there. And over the years, and he's gone on to have 2 lovely children, and I'm the guy, Pappy. And him and his wife, just seeing them grow too. So we've just been friends for a long time, seeing each other go through our own struggles, own ups and downs, and went from there. And I think with Phil, it's just mostly about vibe. Like, he's a young gun, came in, and he wasn't the typical young person who you hear about who doesn't like to come in and listen to others' experiences, who doesn't have the patience or the time and thinks they can do all by themselves and do better than you and just shine on you because I'm young. So it was, from that standpoint, we were just able to just talk about what we do, and it's just kind of passed down to him, and he just let us know what he's going through or what things has happened in life or ways we can help each other out or ways we can just serve each other. And then from there, we just kind of kept it G like that. And the podcast just kind of came into fruition because we were just always in the morning meeting up and just kind of, we used to call it the men's meeting, just talk, kind of our therapeutic session. And from there, like, man, we talk about a lot of good stuff that we put on wax. So that's kind of how it came from there. Is that how you remember it?
Yeah, no, I mean, for real. Other than me, you know, I went to professor a little quicker. From student to professor. No, I'm just kidding.
It was untime bounded. You see this guy?
I know. I got to give you some jabs too. No, but I think they literally they summed it up, man. I don't need to go back into it, but I think the crux of it there is it happened organically, man. Like it wasn't like forced, right? It wasn't like, hey, you need to be my friend because we can capitalize off friendships. It was like, we were literally just hooping. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think it was just more we there trying to work out. I see another black dude. I'm like, cool. All right, okay, he can hoop. And he talking smack. Oh, I didn't even know he's from Chicago till after the game. That was the coldest part. But I was like, he ain't from here though, because it's a language, right? Yeah. It's almost like a dance. Like okay, that's salsa they doing. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't doing this out here. Like they wouldn't give you that little step jab step out here.
This is no video
it wasn't.
out here. He
I'm
over
just
here
saying.
Hey, you got his footwork going.
But
not
people,
see you, bro.
there was something about, you know what I'm saying, the way he carried himself that was unlike a lot of cats that I've hooped with out here since I've been out here. And I was like, that's why I was like, bro, I was like, where you from, man? He was like, Chicago. I was like, oh, enough said. And because we had already had a relationship through the hoop. Because you can build relationships by, like some people say, you know somebody when you fight them or something. You hear about that?
Yep.
Same thing when you play against them in a sport. You know,
competing.
You can kind of see how their mentality is, because you know the mental tax it has on you. So if they're making these type of decisions, well, they might be wired this way a little bit. And so when he said Chicago, literally it was just like that. I was like, all right, he cool. He started off at a good level. Now he could either take it higher or he could take it lower. But I was like, I'm at least check him out. He seemed real cool. He was talking smack, but afterwards he was like, good game, man. You know, high five. And I was like, that's all integrity. Cool. You know, manners. Yes. Yeah. That's just the baseline of any relationship. And so the same thing with WB. Like, I didn't know I was gonna meet him there. I'm just there with some friends. We playing poker, and then he's like, oh, I'm new in town. We got a common thing here. Friends are common. And so then from that point on, like when he gave me that literature, he was like, yo, read this book. You know, if you're really serious about it, he's like, I saw him doing something. And it wasn't out of envy. I saw him playing poker online. I'm like, yo, I really enjoy the game. I could probably make a little extra money, you know what I'm saying, just to be able to do something else. Yeah. And maybe build that up to a career, whatever. So
thinking in a different way.
Exactly. And so from that point on, I knew he wasn't selfish. Yeah. I knew it was mutual. I knew it wasn't just, he just out trying to get me. Yeah. Because that's, unfortunately, when you're born in that type of environment in Chicago, these urban areas, it's kind of that crab in the bucket mentality sometimes, right? And you have to switch that, or at least be aware of that mentality is not, that doesn't define who you are, right? You know what I'm saying? I could see that in them two guys, right? Yeah, but without even them having to speak, it was in there the way they carried themselves.
And that crab in the bucket mentality is so crazy, because if you're pulling somebody else down, that means that's less room for you to even get out of the bucket anyway. So,
but it's a logical thought though. See, most people they might not take it that deep and think about it that way. It's just what can it be in for me, and that's the selfishness.
And that's the extra force that you utilize in trying to pull somebody else down instead of pulling yourself up. And just coming full circle with just how we met, Nipsey said it the best. What if our investments have become strategic? Like the stuff that we invest in our time in, the podcast and just being around each other, three black men, and then being able to do this with you guys, you know what I'm saying, is the strategic mindset that we're able to use in order to use our platforms to broaden each other in terms of understanding more about culture, understanding more about, your struggles, is the more we're able to help each other in these different aspects, because we're able to lend a hand and let people know, hey, I got these type of resources and just in my realm, or you got these in your realm or yours, and we're able to lean on each other and say, okay. And it came from a point where I understand, like you said, not being selfish, that they were able to hand those out and just hand them out with no regards to saying like, this is just mine. I'm gonna just keep hold to all of this knowledge, and I don't want to express it or let anybody else get into it. So them being so open with teaching and paying it forward and lending down the knowledge, as well as other people, is just giving you that baseline to work off of, and that framework to work with. So it's been
definitely, and like I said, this is amazing for us, and the reason why we're asking you guys these questions is we're trying to understand too, as in terms of how different, let's say, our experiences could have been and where we're from, because a lot of the times, like for me, I would say like I didn't have African American friends until move here and I live here. And, at first you're like, I wonder how they grew up. I wonder what, influences they have, what. So it's almost like, I wouldn't call it a disconnect, but my brother always calls it distant cousins, like two cousins, and then we just met, So it's like, you know about your cousin in America, and you start to think like they're totally different from you. They have different experiences, and then you're here in Africa, and then, most likely in collegiate environment, you meet each other and you're like, I didn't know, like, oh wait, you can just relate to each other. Same thing I would meet Ivan, same thing you guys would talk about, like, random, go to a fashion show. We're both there supposed to be models, and then next minute, he's like, I don't know, then conversation start, and then same thing like how you would say, oh, where you from? I'm like, hey, where you from? Oh, yeah, I'm from Uganda. Oh, Uganda? Oh, yeah, I'm from Gambia, and bang,
We got to come back to that model thing, There's no skirt over that.
Yeah,
like, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So it's it's really interesting because both me and Ivan are curious. And that's where we'll go into. It's terms of understanding, like our brotherhood, and I experience it, and just to understand that we're all the same. Like we're all brothers. We might come from different environments, different settings, but like the interactions you guys had, how raw it is, how you guys build relationship. It's basically the same thing me and Ivan relationship. Yeah. And now we want to put that in terms of like improving our unity across both ends. And I guess the thing we first wanted to put in, it's just not a question to anybody. It's like, what were your first interactions when you started meeting not only just Africans, people from Africa, grow with Africa? Like, what were your first interactions, impressions, or perceptions you had, and how has that built so far?
Let me take that first, because I think mine is kind of unique, because I go back to the context of my mother and where she was at, in a community hospital. That's where she worked. And so when I would get dropped off later on in my academic career, like maybe 8th grade, high school or something, or when I started driving, I would meet her at work, you know what I'm saying? And it was all different countries represented there, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what I really learned about the Yoruba tribe, because she was working with folks from the Yoruba tribe, and I had a research paper, of course, and this is before the YouTubes and the internet.
Library,
Go library.
Encyclopedia.
But I mean, I say that to say this because it was that interaction right there that really, I had to go and do the research with her and understand it, because she was like, I'm like 8th grade, like, high school-ish. She's just trying to give me all the facts, the raw facts, because we might go to the library, that encyclopedia not there.
Yeah.
There's no Google, give me, whatever. You have to go physically get the information. And so resources, once again, being scarce, she was there, had a raw connection with one of her teammates, was like, hey, I want to learn more. My son is doing a project. Oh, where are you from? Oh, okay. And so now that was my first interaction, but I'm coming at it from another place of, they're just like us. You see what I'm saying? But I'm getting it at an early age, but I didn't understand how that would shape my interactions going to college, because I just walked in like, yo, what's up? How y'all? Hey, oh, okay. Okay. And then I realized it was just a difference because I didn't see it, right? Because my mother had already set the relationship for me to see that it shouldn't be their boundary there, because she's working with folks from Africa. That's what they do. They coming over here, bringing their money over here and then sending it back, right? Or bringing the resources from there to here to learn so they can bring all that stuff back. And so I had my first experience there, but when it got to college, of course, one of my boys I shouted out, we just naturally was cool. I didn't have any ill will. I just knew it was different, but I was like, yo, we learning. And so I learned over the course of 4 years, what that plight was. And so I get it now. So I never came at it from a place of, I just don't know. It was just, okay, it's different. When I get a chance to learn like we're learning now, I'm just going to take it and really understand it so I can be better for it. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, for me, my aspect, it came from collegiate. So when I went to college, getting into pledging my fraternity, I had the opportunity to pledge with 2 guys from Nigeria, and they were Yoruba as well. And when you're on the wall pledging, when you're going through the process, understanding the process to get into the fraternity, you're broken down to the least amount. Like, you're very humble at that point in time. So you're doing this month on, day by day by day, for months, trying to get into the fraternity. So you're being broken down to the least. You're so tired. You're reluctant to depend on each other, like they're your brother, like they're your family. So me doing it with these, I pledged, it was 5 of us total. Like I said, 3 guys from Chicago, 2 dudes from Nigeria. So we were able to become real transparent with each other. Like, these are the things that I'm going through. This is my family. My brother Oluwarotimi. I met him when he came out here. They became some of the closest friends that I have. But he was able to give me the insight on, these are the type of things we're going through in terms of my family. Like, my sister just moved out here from Nigeria. I got family out here, but they live in Texas. And they're starting to become my family because I'm caring about them as well. Just because it's my buddy, he's trying to be like that role model for them because they coming from America, and he's trying to teach them like English and how to talk the language and stuff like that. So he would teach me these things, and then I had another Hafiz Abioye. He actually moved down to Texas recently. He was a little bit older, so he was teaching me the same aspects, and he was also in the STEM field. So he was teaching me like how to go through STEM and how to transpire through learning all of the things for industrial engineering. So it started with that, pledging my fraternity, like I said, being humble from that aspect. So I was telling them about growing up in Illinois, how it was in Chicago on the South Side, because in Chicago it's really broken out. The South Side is more so all African American. When you go up north is where you see more people from Africa.
Africans, okay.
More African.
A little bit on the west side too, or
A little bit on the west side as well, because it's really broke out. Chicago right in the middle. On the south side is where they move people from like the projects. Gentrification happened. We moved to the south side. And then out west is like where the Bulls play, west side of Chicago, and then the north side is where Wrigleyville and stuff like that, and that's where you see people from Nigeria, Ghana, all the different types in Africa countries.
Did the communities, you talking about the African community and let's say South Side African community, just even thinking about in terms of interactions, you can look at it in terms of businesses, schools, and in terms of sharing that wealth could be within the community. Was that there? Was there interaction, or it was pretty much secluded? Each community stayed within their own.
It was segregated. It was all split
More
up.
or less, right?
Yeah, more or less split up. So my like I said, my African bros, they had restaurants in the north side. So we would go get the jollof rice. We would go get the goat. We would go get all the food and stuff. And then like they introduced me to their family, and their family took me, like they were just they took me in as they knew that the fraternity process and how that goes, and they knew what we went through because they seen the product of the environment. So they seen us going through this and becoming brothers with each other in that sense. So being introduced, and like I've been to 3 Nigerian weddings and just experiencing the culture that you can go through there. It's events. Those things last for days. Those things. I was tired just standing. I was a groomsman in 2 of them, and I'm just standing there, man. But it was so fun. It was so exciting to see that because I had never experienced that before, and just the embellishing the love and the gifts and just the whole the culture around it and the whole blessing and love that was all shared there. So that was like a real good time for me to be able to experience that with them and actually feel like I was close to them. So being able to share that's how it started with me in terms of being introduced to people from Africa or my African bros.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, I would say more so collegiate, well, briefly, but not really hard until I got out to Seattle. Then I met one of my good friends, Bruno, out here. Manchester United fan. He always had the jerseys too.
Bruno was actually one of my LB. He was one of his good friends. They play soccer together.
Yeah, so met through him, and then I kind of got tapped into his network and just seeing how he moved and everything, and I just expanded out to just meeting more African people. My boy Bobby Blast, he's Nigerian too. DJ Alex as well too.
Okay.
Alex
Mobile,
from Liberia.
Yeah.
There's something that's just for me. I just see something different in their brains, especially just in terms of that hustle, that what we need to do to make sure that we make it, and that pushing yourself and always thinking about what's the next thing and way that I can possibly make some type of money out of this situation, not by scamming people, but what type of business moves can I make? What type of problem?
Entrepreneurship.
And it's like always there. It's just ingrained in them.
Yeah.
But that's something that my biggest takeaway, because I really didn't have that many more stereotypes. Maybe the goat meat, fufu, another, and seeing how cool they were in their community that they had together. Because I was starting to just work out more, so playing soccer with them occasionally and things like that. That's how I got to know them.
Yeah, no, you touched on that though too. Like just that go get them, bro. Like I mean, I ain't trying to. I'm not no stereotype, but I mean this is a good one if you gonna use it. They just go get it. Like it's just there's no I quit. Because I mean I'm talking about, like we talked about it I think before on our podcast. Io, shout out to Io. I mean he's a president of the bank now, but that dude was 16 when he's taking classes with me in my sophomore year. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What you doing here?
Yep.
He's like, I'm taking the class. I'm like, bro, I thought you was a freshman. He's like, I am. I was like, what do you? He's like, I had all them credits before. Like, what before what? Like, so that, but it wasn't just him. Like, I mean, literally, like David. I mean, he's
That's what you saw
entrepreneur, but built his business up. You know, this guy's own design firm. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm just saying, like, it was the go get it. Like, I need to succeed at any cost, but it doesn't mean that I have to give up my soul at any cost. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I was like, just admired. I was like, bro, like, I was like, yo, you taking like 25 credit hours or some crazy shit. He's like, yo, I only got 3 years here. I gotta get out. I'm like, you ain't gonna just take it, 15 here. He's like, no, I gotta get out 3 years. I'm taking 25. I'm like, bro, you gotta get signed off on all that over 20 hours or something and working full time.
Wow.
He didn't have the luxury, bro.
Bro, I was like, but he was at the parties too though, and got straight A's. I was like, yo, but it was that work ethic that I was like, I admired it. I was like, that's cool.
And
that's
it was another thing. It was like they kept it 100.
Yeah.
I always say that, like, my boys, they kept it 100. They didn't sugarcoat things. There was nothing about sugarcoating. If something was the way it was, like, my boy was just like, hey, the family, we going to keep it like this. When I first went to meet his family, it was like, this is how it's going to be. They don't expect, because he had to hide he had tattoos and brands. He had to hide all that. He's like, don't say nothing, nothing about this to my mom and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, for sure. And just like, not sugarcoating it, just keeping it 100 with me. And I'm the type of person that works off vibes. So like, if we vibing right, I can't fake kick it. I can't phony kick it. I can't thrive in that type of environment. Like, just being real with me and just keeping it 100 and just being able to express yourself and becoming open, because, if I got the vibe and I can sense it with somebody, opening myself up and actually having conversations, like, I'm good at actually trying to like understand and cope with who I'm talking to and what type of environment I'm in. I won't open up to just anybody, but if I feel genuine vibes from you and I feel like you're giving me that same type of vibe back, I feel like we can flourish with that. And they always made me feel in that right mindset, because I lived with one of them. He actually opened up his crib to me when we was in the process of pledging. He said, hey, I got a crib that I'm renting out right here. My roommates are gone for the summer. Stay here. It's all good. Throw me a little bit for food and stuff and rent. And it was just like, I didn't even ask for it. He was just like, hey, we're going to be doing this together. We got to stick together at this point in time. He gave me a place to lay the head, and I'll never forget that. So
that's love, yeah.
Shout out.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's your, that's amazing from hearing it.
Such like diverse experiences, but still like one and the same. It's like common themes you see through it, where it's like brotherhood and just overall being real with their situation and being real with you. So I think before we kind of segue into our last bit, I just want to stress how that diversity is present within unity and how important it is, because it's got all of us in this room to where we are today. And we want to use this platform especially to bridge that apparent gap between our distant cousins and us, where it's,
yes, sir.
For some reason it does exist while it shouldn't.
It's like an invisible bridge or something.
Where
we didn't even know it was there.
Exactly.
Like, we just felt something, but it was like, well, why? And it just goes back to just perspectives and I think things that we were taught. You know what I'm saying? Even because
it was set up that way.
It was.
Oh, yeah,
that's what it was.
It was
set up.
Straight up.
It's set up because until we have personal experiences of meeting people and understanding, and they're like, this is my brother, this is my sister. Until then, there's that bridge is there, that gap is not there, where we're not being educated on, hey, you have cousins here in America, cousins here in South America, in the Caribbean, they were taken away from you. They were probably your brother and sister if you go back years ago, until we meet them and build actual relationships and we realize we're the same, that doesn't happen. And to put into context, like, all of us, we got that chance, but there's still a large number, people in African communities, they can come live in America for 25, 30 years, no interactions with African Americans. It's like different people. Oh yeah, that's them. Black Americans, And I'm sure same thing to Black Americans that, live in the same town, years, the whole time, they don't have huge interaction, and it's so much opportunity lost of knowing, we're the same people that we have not, had that connection.
And I think it's all becomes with like I always say, we are a product of all the decisions that we made in our life, and all the decisions that we made in our life got us to be here at this one moment. You know what I'm saying? So like, something's working. I try to look at the positives and everything. Something's working and getting the ball rolling to get us to the point where we're at right now, because we're look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're bridging
creating.
together. We're creating. We're bridging together 2 podcasts, 2 platforms. We can get the message out to even more people. We'll be able to touch more people. So, like, we're doing things in a positive aspect. And I think the more you do things for the good, the more you give back, the more you teach the next generation, the more you pay it forward, the more you're gonna get replenished with that same type of love and that generational wealth. You get blessed with opportunities, and you just got to take those opportunities and learn from them. If they come to the point where people say they made mistakes or lessons learned, you get knowledge from those lessons, and those are the assets that you use to build generational wealth. Generational wealth is a pass down of assets, and it doesn't have to be monetary, like you said. It can be knowledge based, like you said, and it can be like what things you can take with you. And it's not always about money. It's that knowledge. It's that core piece. It's that family piece. It's that, you know what I'm saying, it's everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It goes deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah, just trying to get rid of that invisible barrier, man.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
gotta bridge that gap.
We have to bridge that gap, and to help bridge that gap, for what we're gonna do here right now, we're gonna go into a little African history studies. Little session.
Oh boy,
Little session. So let's see. But before even
the sweat on my face.
yes, we have the trivia for you guys. But even before we get to the trivia, I sent. It was more of a publication on African studies on history, more of a summary. Goes through the pre-colonial Africa, how our history was, oral, myth, religion, all that, to colonial, to post, and in terms of regions, countries. So I shared it to you guys, and just wanted to hear your opinions right now of what you guys saw from it in terms of the different cultures, different languages. You saw West Africa, how the king and how it was set up in terms of the systems, you know, and what's your take on it from reading? What did you guys learn a little bit about our history?
What I learned, Europeans are trash.
Yeah, man.
Bruh,
To say the
like,
least.
I'm sorry.
say the
Like,
least.
it's clearly evident that they are at the root of the problem.
Yep.
They came through. They just chopped up Africa. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's just go chop this land up.
Yeah, I won
with
this
no
part.
type of representation. So that's why some of them supposedly came to America, right? And they just came through there and just chopped it up. And all the only thing they had to do is just make sure that they go over there and have some type of people over there and they capture it, and then it's there. Like, how do you even make that call? And then to force people into wars with muskets when you got machine guns and all this extra stuff,
that's
and
what I
then
was
you
gonna
gotta
say.
go through and have people signing stuff that they don't know. It was just real grimy, man. Like real, it left a bitter taste in my mouth. But I'm happy to see it was written down in that form and fashion, so it can teach the next generation about what really went down in Africa at the end of the day. And initially, when I first had skimmed through it, I was like, well, why didn't they include more about some of the other black people and black things back in the day? But it's supposed to be in addition to what you are already teaching them anyway. But with that being said, I thought it was a great publication. It was good to see that they're doing something to enable the resources to let people know about the true Africa and what really goes on, and to make sure that is spread throughout not only the classroom but the community as well.
Yeah, just to bridge on what he's saying, just the fact that it's being taught down, and I think he said K through 12 is
that was the target audience.
The target audience. So being able to instill the things and within your mind, like you said, it's about what you should already know, as well as giving you like an introductory crash course on this is some of the stepping stones, or these are some of the main facts about Africa, about how the colonialism and the apartheid movement, all that stuff was able to be initialized there, and actually giving us that knowledge. Because like we always say, in order to gain, you got to gain knowledge and learn about your history. So being able to teach that and give those type of views out to the target audience at a younger age, all the way up to when you're adult, and understand the information a little bit better, I feel like that was good, and that part of it was something that I feel like is positive and trying to teach the next generation.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was, for me, it was just having the source be pure, because I always talk about that a lot, because you know, if Europeans teach it, it's a different story, right? And so just understanding that the African culture is based on, you know, oratorial type of passing down of wealth, right, of knowledge, and that being the thing, and like Will was saying, how they came in there and just really just systematically kind of separated and kind of had it to a point where you didn't know what your culture was. It was watered down to the point. And I mean, I think that's the thing that I hope this next generation really gets. And I had to learn that too, just understanding my own personal history. And I think we talked about that on the podcast as well, understanding the how deep your history goes back, so you really can understand the true version of who you are, because all of our decisions, literally, like we talked about, all our decisions are based on the knowledge we had at that time.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So, I think that publication was in 2003, which is 17 years beforehand. And so, if we were to write that again this time, I mean, I think it would be a lot more information, from up-to-date sources, right?
Exactly.
So I looked at it from a different perspective of when it was written, kind of that perspective of how things have changed, but they have not, right?
Exactly.
But understanding that there was some initiative to try to actually teach the actual culture of Africa, you know what I'm saying, in a pure way, bringing people from the tribes to actually teach that in the manner which I think is honorable, you know, actually storytelling. But it was just kind of sad. I mean,
it was, and it was just to see how strategically evil everything was. Because after they did all this, it'd be like, "Hey, you used to run the block, right?
Yep.
How about you run this for me?" And just to undermine your leadership in that area, so people are like, "We don't trust these people anymore." To even further draw a line between it. And all the resources, all about money and all about wealth, and it's just so sad to see that that's really how things went down. And it also brought me more education as to why there were personal beefs, quote unquote, why there are different civil wars happening within these places, because they were never meant to be to each other. The only reason that is because somebody came in redlining the district,
propaganda,
trying to put people together that shouldn't really
this
be.
Way, they think that way.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them. Don't go over there and get your own knowledge. This is because, and that's why it's so important, man.
That's like
to know the source.
if Africa just went over to Europe and said, you know what, Germany's of the Nazis, and we have Jewish people, we're just gonna put y'all in the same
That's
neighborhood.
one country, guys. You're one country.
Y'all just go ahead and live together, fight it out, see what you do. Who would ever do that, right? But they just came through and did that.
And I think it's so crazy how overlooked it is too, because it's like it was a bunch of white men who came together and they sat together in Berlin, and they were
1888
like,
Berlin Conference.
"Oh, you know, yeah, you could have this, but before you claim sovereignty over it, you know, occupy it first." And of course, nobody's just gonna let you come in and take their home,
Right.
you know, just like that. And so it leads to things like bloodshed, and you know, where, you know, they're forcefully coming into a continent and then stripping it of everything. You know?
All the identity. Yeah,
And you know, to add to it, and why the education is actually, it's kind of hard to do research on Africa. And the article, you know, it mentioned there's free text and there's fixed text in terms of how our history was passed down. So fixed text, as in we had what the griots were, people in kingdoms who their whole job was just to preserve that history and pass it down, sing about it. You know, okay, your history you can kind of keep it, but you know, what if you lose a griot and they no longer exist? You've lost a lot of history. Yeah. So a European comes and knows that these guys don't write down their history. We, you know, for the most part, it's through oral. So it's very easy to divide and conquer. In a whole other region where it's fixed text, as in they don't even have designated people in society who their whole job is to pass out oral history, the griots. So it's like what they mentioned, like it's the telephone way of, you know, that telephone game. He said this, another person. So our history, the way it was orally, it was prime time for, you know, a predator or like the Europeans to come in and, you know,
Whisper
and use the divide and conquer.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember my dad one time, you know, he was telling me about cities in West Africa, how a lot of the capitals, they're on the coast. And he said, if you just study Africa and just understand how the Europeans really build a really complex system where they can just extract and be rich off of us. All the European countries where we see them, they're rich, their wealth is because of Africa. Pretty much how they took our raw materials. If you go to West Africa even now, you'll notice most of the capital by the coast, right? And if you go to some of these capitals by the coast, how the colonials used to set it up, they did it by the coast, of course, for access to the sea to go to Europe. And then as you go inland, there will be railroads set up. So those railroads are literally going to where the raw material is. So where the diamond
running the
mines
road
are,
trap
where the gold
house.
mines are. That's how they build. And you know, if you just study, you know,
And-
like if anybody just studied our geography, our cities, even how our whole geography was made, was specifically designed for these European nations to extract our resources, our raw materials, get it inland, tracks, train tracks, roads that goes to the coast. That's where the capital is. Ship it.
And prior to that, you look at like slave trade routes
Yep.
at the Atlantic,
It's this,
the Indian Ocean through there, and it's like it was so strategic.
very strategic.
It's never been done before.
It was
in history.
planned.
But the thing about it also is the playbook is still going on because
Today.
then you
That's
talk
what we're
about
saying.
America, you
Yeah.
come over here, you put us in shackles, you don't give us the resources, then okay, we'll let some out. Education is key. Now you're in educational debt, so you're getting money to lend to me, which slaves, black people help get you, and then gonna call yourself lending it back to us and charging interest on it to keep us in the same. Like,
To learn about the
like,
things that we should
the
be
playbook
learning.
is so cold, man.
It's
They
cold.
got the,
It really is.
they got the super all Madden
They
playbook.
really. I mean,
$1 trillion
it's
in debt,
crazy.
man.
I mean, and we
Trillions
can
of
talk about this for it can go on to layers. I was just reading like a few days ago, and there's actually a movement in England and in Belgium for the museums. Do we realize that most of our African artifacts are monuments or anything with arts and arts, it's in museums in Europe.
in Europe. Yeah.
So all like they accounted for this, like especially like the Europeans, they took all our art. It's in museums. So we don't even have our art. You can't go like if I wanted to understand my African history and Europe, I have to go to Belgium to a museum there and see what they all stole from the land, and they have there in glasses.
That's a nice mask.
That's
Where you
puts
get
you in
that from?
perspective.
And that's
That's
exactly
where it
like
came from,
when I saw that scene in Black Panther.
Black Panther.
that's
I was like, hell yeah!
It's really powerful when you saw it in Black Panther, because I'm like, this is not a movie. This is what it is, real life. They took everything. In Belgium, you go to their palace, huge palace, and they talk about like King Leopold. He killed over 15 million people in Congo. He called them animals. So, and this was not long ago. This was a little bit over 100 years ago. So it really puts it into perspective.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. The European white people, they might be the most dangerous people of all time, bro. They might talk about, and they talk about, they worry about terrorists.
Yeah.
And it gets swept under the rug.
Hey, I ain't gonna go no more, man. I want to make sure we keep the lights on in this piece.
No, yeah, for sure. But yeah, our history, this is what it's always interesting to try and study and learn. And, we talk about the frustrations, but, like we were talking about, if people know too how powerful we were before the colonialists came, we were more powerful than them. I always look at it from my end is they just had the gun before us. That's how I look at it. Yeah. They had the gun before us.
And germs too.
Yeah.
And germs.
yeah, exactly. Because they were in awe. They came. They found kingdoms. They never had a Mansa Musa. Who could the richest man we've ever known to the world. We had the resources. We had complex cities. So. And there are a lot of readings on that, and me and Will were just sharing some records where you can understand our civilization. So in terms of, it's always, we can be frustrated. I can be frustrated. It's good to be aware of our history, what damage the Europeans have done to us, but also it's always also good to understand, in terms of to maybe proud and just know that, hey, screw that, like we are like kings and queens.
Yes, sir.
This is who we were. We're not gonna let colonialism that led to slavery, led to political instabilities in our African countries till today, being third world countries, they made us this, but we're not gonna let that hold us back.
Exactly.
So
I really hate that
yeah,
word.
third world country. They just call us third world countries. Well, someone called us shithole countries.
Yeah, somebody.
It's so bad. Then why they going over there taking everything?
But it was not a shithole country when you stole all our resources.
Right.
When like Congo,
That gold you right
Con-
there, probably from there.
Diamond, South Africa. What did it say? Like most of the world, like they export gold more than anyone.
Yeah.
Guess what happened there? Apartheid.
All the cobalt comes from
Congo, they killed 15 million
so
people. Why?
80%.
Because 60% of the world, we don't have any of these computers. If it wasn't for
We
Congo,
don't have iPhones,
yeah.
probably.
So
Those precious
The more
moments,
you know.
man.
Yeah.
yeah, the more you know.
I agree.
Well, Ivan.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we want to get into this this
We
trivia.
have a little trivia.
Oh boy.
Who's gonna get the first question?
I'm gonna give this to Al.
Okay.
Wait. All right, all right.
So the first question
Thinking caps.
is, what is the second longest river in Africa? Is it A, the Nile, B, the Congo, C, Niger, or D, Zambezi River?
The second longest river.
Yeah.
Second longest. Gosh, at least I know the Nile is the longest, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like,
You gotta make up
What's
a
the-
song.
Let me call wifey. She's part of Nigeria. No, what's the other one's not the Nile. I know that.
So you got B, Congo, C, Niger, or D, Zambezi.
Ooh.
Dang, man. All right. I'm gonna go with C.
C?
C.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
It's actually B, the Congo.
That was cool. I know. It was like
I was very close.
that was too. It's too obvious though.
Congo.
Yeah.
That country is something else.
Yeah.
You
I need to do
know,
some more research.
Congo
Yes,
is
I
like
am.
if Wakanda was real life, it would be Congo.
Wow.
Like in terms of resources, what they have, the rainforest, you know, the river. They have every resources. I mean, you can think of cobalt, you know. So yeah, that would be Wakanda.
Question 2, I'm going to get this to WB.
All right.
The Mino were an all-female army in modern day where? Is it A, Central African Republic, B, Benin, C, Namibia, or D, Senegal?
The Mino,
The Mino.
they were female warriors, right?
Yeah.
Portrayed in Black
All-
Panther too.
Yeah, all-female army.
Man, I ain't get
Fearless.
that. Fearless.
They were fearless.
You know the women in the red in Black Panther? That's them.
What were my choices one more time?
You got A, Central African Republic, B, Benin, C, Namibia, or D, Senegal.
I'm gonna say Namibia.
Final answer?
Yeah.
It was actually Benin. Benin.
We over 2.
For two.
Come on.
But you know what? But just go ahead.
But
fellas.
it allows him to go check it out. But I didn't know that too until Black Panther came out, and I saw like, oh, female warriors, and I researched it. If you guys could, yeah, go check it out. Like, you know, these women were fearless warriors and fighters, and you know, even the colonialists were scared of them. They were fearless. Like they fought better than men. Yeah.
And what was the name again?
The Mino.
Mino.
M-I-N-O.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, third and last question is, what is the name of this famous Malian musician? Obviously,
Mali,
the
West
audience.
Africa?
Yeah, the audience can't see it, but I'm gonna show you a picture here in a second. Is it A, Salif Keita, B, Ali Farka Toure, C, Khalid, or D, Alpha Blondie? And this is for you, Phil.
Mali, West Africa.
Yeah,
Should we give him more hints?
I don't know how much more you can
Yeah,
give him on
Mali,
that.
West
I came
Africa.
with some heat on these questions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not.
Got my
You know,
number 2 pencil. I'm all here nervous to test.
So, Ali Farka.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Sadly, no. That was that's Salif Keita. He's a world famous musician that was from Mali, and
Okay.
yeah, he's actually one of the greatest living African.
Well, we didn't disappoint you, but you
No,
gave us some
no,
points
no.
to research.
These are tough questions. I think
man.
we ask questions. These are tough. I think a lot of even Africans will miss these questions.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the theory that we have for you, and you
Should
know.
we give them at least one that they can answer? You know,
Nah,
what I mean?
we done.
You ain't trying to miss four.
You know, we're gonna take this lesson.
The audience has learned from our mistakes.
Yeah,
That's what
Um,
And shout out to Kiki again. She used to host game nights, and we would have the game nights. It was Ultra Africa trivia.
Wow.
It would be like, you know, what's the capital city of Tanzania? What's the capital city of Burkina Faso? And, you know, we had to write it down. And so it really allowed us to educate ourselves on, you know, African history, which, so yeah. That's why we always like these trivias. We always do it, you know.
I believe in that. I'm
Yeah.
learning from it for
Right.
sure. You know, so now I
I
got.
think we
I
gotta
already
do
pulled
a
it up.
path to try and figure out our black history in America, but also go back, extend out further to see why things are the way they are before we even got over here to America is also key too. So I'm starting to read more, starting to educate myself more because leaders are readers.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Pioneer?
Yeah. I mean, to end the episode, we had asked you guys earlier to just leave us with one or two or three just pioneers in your life and unsung heroes that people should know about, and what just
For real. I'll start, but I got two.
okay.
I mean, first of all, Harold Washington. I keep it Chicago. First black mayor of Chicago. My parents just always exemplified the fact that you can do anything that you wanted to do, and as long as you strive for greatness, pay attention, learn your history, gain knowledge, and continue to be around the communities, listen to the communities, and uplift your brethren, you can achieve and aspire to do whatever you like to do. So becoming a black mayor, becoming a fireman, whatever you wanted to be in your life, it wasn't just football player, it wasn't just sports athlete or musicians or anything like that, to be able to become something of yourself. And then also Barack Obama, just seeing him, I was in college when he was elected, and seeing him, we had a severe shooting at Northern Illinois where I went to college at on Valentine's Day, my sophomore year. Gunmen came in, shot down 10 or 11 students, and I was actually in the vicinity, not in the actual classroom, but in the vicinity of the area where it happened, and seeing just the chaos that came from it. And Obama was the first person that came out there before his election, was the first person to come out there, had a all student panel at our convocation center, and was able to talk to us and actually give people like debriefings, give people help on like PTSD and understanding like different things that you can go through. So I just remember seeing him prior to his presidential run, and prior to him being elected as president, being able to see him touch the community and actually come out and being there present when it was stuff going down and when it was actually problems happening, because we were within a frenzy. We were disjointed as a university, just trying to understand, because it was right after the Virginia Tech shootings that happened. It happened right after, on Valentine's Day. So just being able to come out there and actually promote and be there to actually talk to people, have one-on-ones. I actually seen them direct conversation with them, ask questions, and actually seeing them there in the flesh. It was just something that was good to see, and then seeing them as the presidential candidate and president.
Awesome. Right. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
I'll say for me, I'm just gonna do my grandfather, Dr. James Lowry, from Mountain Bayou, Mississippi. That's where he was working at the Taborian Hospital. It's a hospital that came about through I think it's the Knights of Tabor, and he's the medical director there from 1958 to 1972. And what he did, he was able to help the city get medical care because there's not many hospitals in that rural area. So they were able to help finance some of the local insurance programs, insurance policies, to make sure that people could come through and get the medical needs that they need. So they're delivering babies or they needed surgery or whatever. And then he also was helping black men get jobs as well too, and nurses as well. He had a program with Meharry Medical College, so he would have them come out from Tennessee, Meharry Medical, all the way out to Mountain Bayou, Mississippi, so they can stay there and do their residency. They would give them the housing they need and give them the different hands-on experience that black doctors were not getting back then. So for that, I'm going to put on for him, for Dr. James Lowry. He's a veteran, Army. Without him, I'm not here today, so...
Yes, sir.
So shout out to him.
No, that's you both you guys. I mean, dipping in the wheelhouse. Obama for sure. I mean, that was what I was contemplating as well. Speaking on, but definitely my mom. She actually has her master's in science, and she was a trailblazer, obviously from her family, the first to go to college and graduate. You know what I'm saying? And also studied in the community hospital, did phlebotomy. Which is like how to draw your blood and things like that. Yep. She worked her way up to radiology, pathology. So doing a lot of things in the medical field, helping in the community, doing free stuff like that, teaching. I know she had a women's mentor group that she was doing, obviously involved in the church, things like that. So doing a lot of community service there. But also just being on the front line working still now. She's in her 70s right now. You know what I'm saying? Still working. Doing that, making sure that all the blood work gets processed, things like that, and she's working directly, making sure that all the the COVID stuff and things like that, or whatever's happening, is good. And so just shout out to her as well as being that trailblazer, just because I'm not here for sure.
Yeah, of course.
If without her sacrifice there.
Miss Catherine Howard.
Yeah.
Gotta say her name.
Did I say Catherine? I say Catherine Howard?
Oh, I ain't here.
Well, I'll say it again. Catherine Howard. Shout out, Mom. I love you. Appreciate you. We're going to keep it going and build this legacy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, I've got a lot of just game out of this conversation, and just I'm so appreciative to have shared this platform, you know, and have another one of our many conversations that we will have in the future. And you know, thank you guys for joining us and taking time out of your day to, you know, share the platform with us.
Sir.
And you know, just spit game for everybody, you know. So
Free game, man. We just
Free game.
about free game.
Free 99.
exactly.
And if we want to hear about, like, because, you know, people are going to be like, where do I follow them?
Where do we find you guys?
Where do you find you guys? So please.
Well, this is WB. You can find me on IG at KONKRETE2, Concrete 2. Two Shy Guys a Mile High. That's 2 CHI, and then Guys a Mile High on Instagram, and then we're on Twitter with 2 Shy Guys a Mile HI. And you just reach out to me that way. I'd love to hear what people thought about this episode. So you can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, anything that plays for the most part. Just look up the number 2, then CHI, Guys a Mile High, and that's where that.
And then you can also reach us, 2 Shy Guys a Mile High at gmail.com. If you ever want to reach out to us, we always are inquisitive and want to know about what you're going through and different stories that we can highlight on our platform as well. But this is P-Wil, Phil Wilson. You can follow me on Instagram at P-Wil, P-W-I-L. And like Will said, 2 Shy Guys a Mile High.
Yes, sir. And I'm probably the least one using the technologies, but I love the tech. I'm on IG, obviously. Now I'm getting on there a little bit. You can find me at Seance. It's SAYAHNCE. So it's a little play on my initials with the AH there. But I'm just looking at stories, you know, following, of course, the Jola Madi, everybody following there. So that's it. 2 Shy Guys on my high. I'm on, of course, our IG there. So yeah, man, just thank you guys for having us, man. It's been a pleasure. And man, we got to hear more about that. We got to hear more about that modeling, though. I don't know if we're going with that. We can talk about that another episode. Another episode.
You know?
But similar to you guys, actually, I used to run my mouth at E about basketball. We would be out like at events, and I'd be like, "Yo, you can't see me on the court." Da da da. And we still haven't played 1-on-1, but like it's funny how. Come on now. But it's funny how, you know, we have similarities like that.
And that's the, you know, like I said, this is what we wanted to highlight, you know, because you know I've had friends even back home that, you know, think that like if they're not African, even if it's black people in Africa, they're not like us. You know, they're different. Oh no, that's just them, you know. So, and you know, I'm sure we even have listeners. I'm sure they always deem that. So, you know, we just wanted to highlight it and thank you guys so much for, you know, sharing your stories, how you met, the dynamics, how you meet Africans, you know, and, you know, our journey, how we're all the same. We're all brothers and sisters that, you know, that we want to grow. And, you know, we hope we'll see you guys in Africa post-COVID, you know, posting on IG, you know, chilling. No, you know, don't go to Nigeria first.
Phil might not have a choice.
I know. I have to throw a jab at Nigeria every episode. You know, gotta humble them. But, you know, we really like to see that. You know, I've not even been to Chicago personally, and just from hearing it, you know, I definitely want to go. You know,
it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, exactly. I've not been to Denver as well. You know, so
we got some trips we need to plan just as this platform, as this double platform. You know, maybe we do a joint episodes in one of these cities at some point. You know, with things.
This is not the first time. You know, our people will see you guys here for sure. You know,
and I'm rocking with y'all. Y'all just keep doing what y'all doing because I love hearing the different stories and different things that people are highlighting on each one of their episodes. Kiki's episode was great. There's been a number of good episodes
with your brother.
That one too. There's a number of just good information and knowledge that was just kicked out there. I'm like, man,
I think
that's
your dad
good.
was on that one episode.
Old girl who was on there from DC, I think.
Bella.
Shout
out to Bella.
Her episode was good too. I was like, you know what? I rock with it.
I
appreciate it.
man. Y'all definitely stand up guys and actually keep the content coming, man. It's always enlightening to hear the different stories that you go through. Like you said, we all brothers at the end of the day. So just hearing the perspectives from you and the knowledge that you're kicking, we definitely listening, we're definitely learning. And we taking everything we can, that we can use to help build both our platforms up and continue to be successful on both our ends.
All right.
100%. What you got?
Not much more to say, but thank you.
We heard, we accomplished.
We accomplished. But yeah, thank you all for listening once again. This has been episode 9.
Yeah, it felt like 10 minutes. We're an hour 40 in.
Yeah,
That's some straight bars.
Yeah.
But yeah, signing out. Until next time. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there.